Invasive Neisseria meningococcal disease is a bacterial infection that involves inflammation of the meninges of the brain and can lead to a serious blood infection. It's very rare in the United States. In our population of 308 million, there are between 1,400 and 3,000 cases every year that fluctuate with natural disease cycles. Between 10 and 15% of the cases are fatal, with another 10 to 20% ending with brain damage or loss of limbs. It is estimated that annually there are between 150 and 300 meningococcal deaths in the United States, with an average of 16 babies under age 12 months dying from the disease. Children under age 2 are less likely to die from meningococcal infection compared to older age groups. The good news is that the incidence of the disease has decreased more than 60% between 1998 and 2007 to less than 1 case in 100,000 people, which is an historic low in the United States. To put this death rate into context, there are 3 times as many Americans who die from heat stroke or drown in boating accidents every year than die from invasive meningococcal disease. And that's because mothers who have innate immunity transfer maternal antibodies to their newborns to protect them in the first few months of life until babies can make their own antibodies. At any given time, up to 20 to 40% of us are asymptomatically colonizing meningococcal organisms in our nasal passages and throats, which throughout life boosts our innate immunity to invasive bacterial infection with meningococcal. By the time American children enter adolescence, the vast majority have asymptomatically developed immunity that protects them, which is how our population maintains naturally acquired herd immunity, and why cases of invasive meningococcal disease are so rare in all age groups. There are other biological and environmental factors that make people more susceptible. These include smoking or living in a home where people smoke, a recent respiratory infection, crowded living conditions, alcohol use, and an underlying chronic illness, especially immune deficiencies such as lupus or HIV. It is not easy to develop invasive meningococcal disease. You have to be susceptible and have regular close personal contact, such as sharing a toothbrush with or kissing a person who is colonizing meningococcal organisms. Symptoms of meningococcal disease include fever, severe headache, painful stiff neck, nausea and vomiting, inability to look at bright lights, mental confusion and irritability, extreme fatigue, convulsions, and unconsciousness. In babies, signs of irritability can include persistent crying or high-pitched screaming with arching of the back, which are symptoms of encephalitis or brain inflammation that can be caused by a bacterial or viral infection or a vaccine reaction. In 2000, the CDC recommended that all college freshmen get a dose of meningococcal vaccine containing 4 strains, and in 2005, that policy was expanded to include all 11-year-olds. There is one problem. The vaccine does not contain strain B, which is the strain associated with more than 50% of meningococcal cases and deaths, especially in children under 5 years old. There's another problem. The vaccine has been found to be, at best, only about 58% effective within 2 to 5 years after adolescents have gotten the shot. So in 2011, when public health officials realized that 1 dose of meningococcal vaccine did not last, they said that all 16-year-olds should get a booster dose. The healthcare cost to the American taxpayer does not end with the outlay of cash to pay for 6 doses of the vaccine for every child. What about the unacknowledged healthcare costs to treat the children who suffer a vaccine reaction that leads to a trip to the ER, or hospitalization, or permanent brain damage and immune system problems? The Federal Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, which includes only a small fraction of the health problems that occur after vaccination in the U.S., has recorded more than 2,000 serious health problems, hospitalizations, and injuries following meningococcal shots, including 33 deaths, with half of the deaths occurring in children under age 6. There is very limited or no data on the safety and effectiveness of giving meningococcal vaccines with other vaccines at the same time. In 2007, the National Vaccine Information Center reported an increase in serious adverse event reports to VAERS when meningococcal vaccine was given simultaneously with HPV vaccine to young girls. By mandating that every American use meningococcal vaccine from infancy, we will be trading the natural herd immunity our population has achieved for inferior vaccine-acquired immunity that does not last. That will make our population vaccine dependent, which is great news for drug company stockholders, but will it be bad news for our health and the environment? Like with excessive antibiotic use, we just might be creating a nightmare scenario for meningococcal organisms to mutate into more lethal vaccine-resistant bugs that will have all of us highly susceptible to invasive meningococcal infection.